Right, we are joined in the studio by local Mahaka resident Kevill Davies. Kevill, you've been living here for 12 years, I understand.
Yes, I did. I came about 2002, 2003, and like everybody else, I was looking to retire, but thought that I was too young to do nothing. So I had an idea about developing a golf game. I first devised in 1973, and
So you're an inventor and an author.
yes, I
But
am.
you weren't an inventor in the UK, were you? But obviously 1973 if you invented this game then.
Well, yes, but I mean, I put it on the back burner. I had other jobs. I worked in pubs and owned a hotel until we retired. So, but when I came out
Where was your hotel in the UK?
near Abingdon, at a place called Milton Hill,
Abingdon.
Steventon House Hotel. So it was,
Abingdon, where the Triumph and the MG factory used to be.
well, I believe so.
Okay, so but tell us a little bit about this golf game you invented.
Well, I thought it was a match winner. Most golfers will understand that putting is half a game, roughly speaking. And
Well, you know the old adage,
yeah,
drive for show, putt for dough.
correct. Yes, that's right. But most golfers wouldn't play mini golf, for instance, because they think it's a Mickey Mouse game. But I devised a game that had mostly putting. Well, it was all putting, but it was a game of skill and strategy. I thought it would be a world beater. I thought, there was something that the world was waiting for, a new game that we could start here in Mohaka. But sadly, I think we were a bit, the world weren't quite ready for us, I think, at the time. The idea didn't meet with great public...
Well, I've got to be honest, when we first had the radio station, I've had it 4 years now, I remember you came in and we went and played this game.
That's right.
At Marina Golf.
That's right.
On the putting green there. And actually it was very interesting. It was a clever game. And you said it was more about strategy. And I thought it would appeal to all golfers because it was a good game for betting on as well.
Well, it was. You could have done that. And I took it along to various people along the playa to see if I could get some interest in it. But the best was the man who owns the El Cid. I can't remember his name now. The American guy. El Cid, yes. And he said, well, I could go and do a demonstration down at his pitch, the mini golf.
The mini golf,
opposite the Puntartho. So I went down there for 2 weeks, and every day from 4 till 6, I went down there and offered the people that paid for a round the opportunity to play my game and asked them to write their comments. Well, I had sheets of people saying, brilliant, look forward to seeing it in the UK. But it never really happened.
I think the biggest problem, perhaps you know where you want to take that. You want to take maybe Dragon's Den. It's the marketing budget that's killing all these new products, isn't it? Really.
When I first started, I developed 3 aspects to the game. There was we had a course at Eastbourne, which didn't really work out well. But that's another story. We had the 4 golf holes that I think I showed you the idea, and we also had the retail game. And I used the publicity firm Henry who does the golfing, Peter Alice's son Henry. He was on the board, but they cost a lot of money and I couldn't afford it. So at the end of the day I lost a lot of money. But if anybody out there is interested in resurrecting a world-beating game, please contact me or Richard perhaps if he's good enough to take it.
There we go, world-beating game. What do you actually, have you got it, what do you call that game?
It was 2-ball golf, but the game I think I showed you was marble golf, I think, when we used 5 balls. But anyway, it didn't work, so we had to start something new, and here
we go. Now we, of course, our sports correspondent, Tony Matthews, the world's most prolific football book writer. I think he's nearly on 110 or something, 110 football books. Amazing. But you, since 2007, have written 6 books yourself.
That's correct. I had an idea while I was holidaying in Thailand or visiting my family, and I came back with a rough idea of a book. The Daily Mail, this is back in the UK, the Daily Mail were running a new authors competition. Entries had to be in by July the 1st. So I started in March and finished the first draft of this book called Apsaros by July the 1st. But of course it was rubbish, it hadn't been edited, hadn't been anything.
You sent it into the
So
Daily
I sent
Mail.
it in, of course it got nowhere. Since then I've written, it's been rewritten many, many times, and it's been published. A copy is available in the library incidentally in Mohaka.
Oh, really? But I mean, I've got to be honest, we've interviewed a lot of different authors on the show, and nearly, to a man, they tell me that everything has changed really in publishing since these e-books came along, and you don't have to have them printed. So, do you know what I mean? It's not quite the same as it was back in the day.
Even as short a time ago as 7 years, when I first started, you could probably write to a publisher. They probably weren't interested, but at least you could write to them. And then very quickly it was evident that you had to go to literary agents. Well, there's 100,000 new novels or books written in the UK, so you can imagine these people were inundated. So this literary agents became the first filter. They would edit your book and then push it on to
for a
publishers
fee, no doubt.
for 12 to 15% is typical. And then what's happened since then, in the last few years, is literary agents have been inundated. They no longer want fresh manuscripts. So what they've done is introduce a new tier, which is the editors. So you have to pay editors anything from £1,000 to £4,000 to have your book edited before you can send it to the literary agents, before they can send it to the publishers.
But can you now, though, can you deal direct with people like Amazon to get your book online?
Amazon costs you nothing. You can upload your book to Amazon and you can have it on there. Obviously, it's not going to do very well if it's raw and unedited, to some extent. Yeah. But I mean, if you feel that your book's good enough, you can upload it to...
But again, it's all about marketing budget, getting the thing known about that. I mean, you're saying that about 100,000 books. It must be the same. Must be 50 or 100,000 songs come out in the UK every year. And how many get in the top 40? 350, 400? Yeah. It must be so difficult to break. It's so
difficult if you're new. If you're a celebrity, totally different. You'll have all seen on the, Fern Britton's been doing the usual circus of the Alan Titchmarsh show, Loose Women. All these programmes, you get the same celebrities all doing a roundabout. And,
well, do you know which celebrity has earned the most money in the last 3 years in books? And a fortune. And an absolute fortune.
Katie Price?
No, Jamie Oliver.
Jamie Oliver,
his cookery books earn him millions upon millions upon millions.
Well, if he writes a book, of course the publisher's going to publish it because they're guaranteed to sell 100,000 copies, and it's the same with the celebrities. So when you are a nobody, virtually are, it's very, very difficult to actually break into the market. But
okay, well tell us about your latest novel then.
The latest novel, well, you might be interested in this. It's about a football team. But it's not the football. It's about an author who's run out of ideas, goes to his literary agent and says, I want to write a book about the football team. And he says, rubbish. But he goes to speak to an ex-football player who tells him private lives of the players. And these are not necessarily about football. In fact, they're not. They're about incest, homosexuality.
You're not handing love with Tony Matthews, are you? We don't know anything about it.
But Tony might like to read it. I'm really interested in his feedback. So, yes, but what happens is these people meet at the George at Bustington regularly with this the ex-footballer who is now the publican, and he tells them the stories. But as the stories go on, we find that the George moves centre stage and becomes the centre of the final denouement, the final.
And is this book available on Amazon or ebooks?
Yes, you can get this on Amazon and several other books. I write two types of books. One's the Apsaras ones, based on an Englishman in Thailand. And the other ones are about my fictional valley called the Shag Valley, beautiful Shag Valley in England, and it's sort of like named after the pubs, the Lamb at Nettlesham, the Green Man at Budley, and the George at
Okay, well, let me ask you another question. So if you go on to Amazon and we type in Kevill Davies, then your books come up available for Kindle or iPad or whatever else.
That's it.
Now, for example, this book, what's the title of this book about the footballers?
The George at Bustington.
Oh, sorry, the George at Bustington. So if I wanted to download that book, how much would that cost me?
A price of a pint. €3, so I mean, roughly speaking. So
that's all that Amazon are charging?
Yeah, that's all.
So if someone pays the €3, how much do you see of that? How much does Amazon take?
I would get, on that one, 70%, so I'd get €2.
You get €2, so Amazon take 30% roughly across the board. And is that fairly standard?
Yes, I think that's fairly standard. If you you can price the books at the level you want. So if you price it below €1, you only get 30% because Amazon take a bit more, and also if you price it way up at the top end, perhaps it's a textbook you want to publish, they will also adjust it a little bit, but roughly speaking 70%.
So of the 6 books that you've written since 2007, since living, well, you've been here 12 years, but since 2007 you've written 6 books, have any of those books gone to print, or are they only ebooks?
No, they're only ebooks, apart from the first one, the Apsaras, which was published. I had to pay $900, I think it was, to have the Apsaras book published. But since then, I've
well, that's rather negated my next question, Kevill. I was going to say, we'll give a signed copy away, but it's a bit tricky to give a signed copy of an ebook away.
Well, it is, but I mean, I can give you a signed copy of the Apsaras book. I'll bring it in.
Bring it in. Well,
and you can give that away. And I did one just thing before I go. I mentioned. For at the price of €3, you can buy Nora Johnson's books. I'd see she does articles in the Euro Weekly.
All right.
So for the price of a pint, you can have 3 of her novels, for instance, and give an unknown writer, if you like, a chance.
Give her a chance.
So that's Nora Johnson. They're psychological thrillers. Quite good. I read one last week.
Perfect. Kevill, thank you ever so much for coming in. And
that's a pleasure, Richard.
Good luck with your writing.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers.
It's nice to speak to you.
Bye-bye.